and whatever I see is smiling at me. Love is who I am. Hello there, beloved Ascension Pioneers, and welcome to this very special edition video on the topic of Ascension and our Descension, our conscious integration. And today we will be focusing on the art of co-creation. So how to truly co-create in our new, with our full integration of the past, future timelines, the vertical, the horizontal, all together as one. And I've been receiving the double infinity symbol for years now, and it really helped me to see how this is an interlinking energy dynamics of our true polarized unity self, of the once divided but always one in truth, divine masculine and feminine forces of creation. So when we talk about the nature of divine masculine and feminine, it's not just about being, having this gender, being a man or woman, and activating our inner god, goddess, the power of the overall experience of our divine self, but it's also about understanding that on the level of creation, we are these primary creation forces, and as we begin to awaken and ascend and also descend, we want to then rise up and start the aspect of our co-creation self. And today I'll be discussing this and the basic principle here that I want to share with all of you and my whiteboard. And some of you might have noticed that some of my teachings are getting more deeper, and I have to have some announcements at the end about my teachings and what I want to share with all of you towards the end. So please stay updated if you want to know more about that. So go through this video. I'll be discussing this. I've actually been receiving this, writing it down on the equinox point, which was just this week. And this really wanted to come through. And equinox is always that state of perfect balance of our inner union. And it does represent the primary forces of creation and how then they later, be integrated and experienced on our human plane of existence on this planet. So we're going to take a look into how to really manifest, not just by techniques and tools and all of that, which is still to the degree external to us, but really, when we begin to be the master of the self and embody our essence of the master of the new, we're going to start to only work with the essence of our soul alchemy. If you haven't yet checked it out, please, my main mastery courses, there's 7 basic initiations, the 7 principles of creation when we're refining our soul embodiment, and then the last one is the additional advanced mastery course on the group consciousness and enlightened partnership. So a lot of us are moving there now at this very important time in our creation. But let's get to today's topic, which is all about how do we really create this so that we actually become that, what I always discuss about, becoming the pillar. Because the pillar is not just something that you hold on one particular moment. When you say, I'm really empowered, I must be in my pillar. When I talk about the white light ascension pillar, I talk about the union, the unity of our primary creation forces, and us to be able to witness, to integrate and experience them on our human level, so that we do bring the aspect of our divinity in our human form, so that our human form has the capacity to download, but also not just to activate, but integrate that as we're having and walking our daily lives, that we're actually coming from a space of our union self, from the primary forces of creation, that whatever we wish to create is going to be from that level. And because a lot of us have been going through many initiations or major transformation in our reality, we've come to this point where we're kind of looking ahead, and we really know that we don't want to create things anymore through that rash thinking and through just the mental levels, because a lot of the people who focus on the law of attraction, they always focus on mental levels primarily. We also a lot of times focus on the aspect of feeling, which again is one aspect. But what I talk about here is the combined aspect where all of this is already in synthesis. But I'm going to talk about the primary essences that really help us to create. So let's get to this main scheme here. So as you see, I drew 2 infinity symbols that are intertwining with one another. So in the middle essence, you have that belonging nature where you always exist in your infinite eternal state, which is your home essence. You're always here, regardless of where you have maybe spirals of where your journey is kind of leading you, and you might be having different experiences from what you sometimes perceive as linear to cyclical and, you know, spiraling essence of what we truly do travel through in the art of our spirit. But actually, that home is that essence where we always are. You know, maybe our physical experience will be in a way different, but we're always going to be there. So our home space is where we are always focused in the now. So each master of creation is a master of their life force. I wrote here down at the end that to bring all manifestation in the now is to master our life force, is the mastery of our life force. But how to really create? So, you know, sometimes people come in our path, right? And I've experienced this myself. And they will present to you something, and they're gonna give you bits and pieces of what you might perceive as, wow, I do desire that as well. But you're going to notice that a lot of the times people will be either in the past, linking their experiences to the past, or they will be too much in the future. And a lot of our brain capacity is also with our divine self and masculine feminine polarization used to have that almost like vertical horizontal separation, and we could experience ourselves as, you know, going a little bit in the past, or, you know, being in the future, but without a real synthesis where the past and future coexist in our now. And a lot of the people haven't yet done this synthesis organically within themselves, but this is a part of our ascension process and where we actually are. And ascension is not just something we're going to talk about. It's something we're going to actually literally experience. It's going to be like this cohesion and this fusion of our primary creation forces, and bringing them back to the aspect of what we're really seeking. You know, a lot of the people sometimes they go outside of themselves and they want to seek their belonging, maybe in their parents, with their parents, maybe in the close loved ones, maybe in a certain group. But we're all actually seeking to be unified, as we already won with that when we embarked upon this journey of our unique creation self. We were one with these primary forces of creation, but then we wanted to venture out and have these multiple experiences and soul fragmentations and so on. But we're all actually seeking that primary belonging feeling of that synthesis and our true belonging home, which is that state, which is always that middle state. So in the mastery, we always talk about the middle point, which is a middle state where all the states, where all the experiences kind of blend together, and it's always within you. It's always the primary essence of your true belonging home, which is always within you. So what I did here, I did these 4 basic quadrants, right? So here you have, as you can see, the past. We reference here the past. Here we have the future, right? And then we have the old and the new in terms of how we experience, right? So let's say this relates to the aspect of time. And I'm sorry that my pen isn't working the best. But speak to time, which time, the nature of time is very ethereal, right? Because the moment we experience it here on this planet, we already make it linear. But the real refined essence of time, which is non-local and non-linear, can be felt as that ethereal component. So, but when we start to kind of descend here into our physical experience, we're going to have here within our experience, right? We're going to have the old and the new. So that's why I've written here the known and the unknown, and the familiar and the unfamiliar. And these are all aspects that we actually need within our creation and how we create. A lot of times in the polarized circles or the New Age circles, there was always this tendency to kind of eliminate either one or the other. Maybe we had a past experiences and people say, let it go, it doesn't serve you. You know, let that go, it doesn't serve you. Without you integrating it first, you haven't really done anything on the level of your creation mastery. Because your life force is the unified field, that unity field of all this, the synthesis of all that you've ever grown through and experienced, basically distilled into your wisdom self. So in truth, it's like a time capsule, right? But you always exist here in the middle space. So anything you wish to really co-create as your divine master of the new creation self level, you're going to have to go through this process of being in that pillar, which means not just saying, you know, a lot of times we did this, right? Like this division, and the division was either vertical or the division was like this. It was done horizontally. But basically these 4 quadrants, they're not just quadrants, right? They're actually, this is just shown here because we do still have linear brain mode thinking in a way, so that's why I'm showing it like this. And the board is also square, you know, square formation. But I want to say that it's basically just a synthesis of all of this. And it's very simple when we just tune into it with our feeling. But anything we wish to create from our new refined master self level, we're going to have to synthesize all of this. You know, a lot of times we want to create things from the future. And I've had people who've come to me and they've been promising me things. And this sometimes we can call it over promising. And these people were like creating this hookup link. It feels like there's a link where they want to bind you to their own version of reality by either promising you something, or they keep you hanging. It's always something, you know, you want to get a real vision of what's real now, because you as a master of the self, that's where you are, that's where your energy life force is centered. You are here, home in the now. And when you meet people like that, so they're going to either constantly judge you or link you somehow back to the past, or they will be too much futuristic in their expression, and they will also create these hooks by keeping you hanging. There's always going to be these keep you hanging, because in the past, when there's these links and hooks from the past, we kind of know this as attachment, right? Attachment. But here, the future, like I said, it feels like this feeling of something keeps you hanging. And it's like the future is always about the distorted version of the future is that hope, right? And people say, I hope this will change, or I hope this will go for the better. I hope I will have more prosperous life in the future. I hope, you know, this person will like me. I hope I will get the right money for that, this and that. I hope that the conditions will be perfect when I'm supposed to meet this person, or, you know, this and that. You know, there's many things we can constantly are saying, but they go against our true nature of the liberation of our personal life force is always done in the now, which is here home. So people who are either linking you when they're not coming from their mastery, they're linking you to the past through that attachment, or sometimes it's codependency. And a lot of this has been karmic. But karmic is not just related to past. You know, even the energy of the future can feel like karmic, because it binds you to something that hasn't even been created yet, and you're already feeling hooked to that. You're feeling hooked to maybe an idea or a too idealistic expectation, a high ideal that you might be holding, instead of just being here, being with what is, being real. And I've noticed in my own mastery transformations that the more I've been grounding myself in this now mastery, and this home in the now is not just feeling grounded, you know, like you go into the earth, you ground yourself in this moment, you breathe. This means being grounded and realistic on all levels, without any illusions, distortions, misconceptions, and all these non-clarity perceptions and ideals you might be having about things that are not really of that essence. So that which is karmic does not necessarily, you know, belong to that which is the past and the old, or, you know, that familiar. It can also be the unfamiliar new, and it might sound exciting, very Neptunian, very beautiful, very ideal, very futuristic, and yet that's not where you are. So how do we really discern between having the vision by knowing the journey of your soul? It's almost like, you know, you're going like this, but without being filtered, or filtering your reality, that this what you see with your focus. And all these mastery courses that have been developing were revolving around that. How do we create? And there's also one on divine focus and mastering the focus. So that's just one example. So it doesn't mean now that because you're going to be this way and focused and fused with your mastery, that now all of a sudden you won't allow things maybe go a little bit like this, right? It's again, it's a spiral. So a lot of times we were blocking things and we were saying no to things because we were either hooked to the past, so the past ideals and expectations, or something that we had a past maybe bad or negative or wrong expectation around that, or from the future, which might sound very ideal, very beautiful, very tempting. You know, the archetype of the devil in tarot is that temptation, which again, it's not always just being hooked in the past. It can also be temptation because you are having these desires that again are not rooting you in this now present moment. So attachment or hope. So this all links us to where we don't want to be. So how do we discern between knowing our vision, our focal point, knowing what we're creating, and yet not being attached to that? It's very simple, because the vision that for you will be real in terms of the knowing of where your soul journey is headed towards. Like certain things in my life and my reality, I just know that's how they will be, period. But how and when and all of that, and who with, and all of the interlayerings, I don't focus upon, because in the now I'm focused on the steps that I need to take at this moment. A lot of times these steps might feel, for a lot of people who are not embracing this now and they have this expectation of the future, they might feel very unlogical, even completely, you know, irrevocably unfamiliar, because it would say like, how, it doesn't make sense to where I want to go. But when you start trusting your life force, and this I'll talk about later when we go through this chart, is such a beautiful refinement of your soul, because you will learn to trust that even if something in the moment feels so weird, but you're so drawn to it, you know that this is not separate from your overall bigger picture. So that's very important for us to master, and we cannot do that without really going and moving into our heart. And that's why I always say that it's all about the heart, but I don't mean the physical heart. A physical heart is just the physical heart, but the cosmic heart we have here, and it expands like this in a radius, right? Like a toroid field. And this cosmic heart essence is almost like our center. And this is the center for where our vortex, our inner pillar energy starts to be filtered through in our physical embodiment. So when we are in that state, what's actually happening is we can stay really firm and grounded within what's our own. So when we talk about our boundaries, it's actually the boundary of our vortex, knowing where you are within your own template. And we've been all kind of on our path of ascension refining our templates, which means that our physical bodies are changing and being more refined in a beautiful way. So how do we firmly in the now, how do we create? So every creation actually begins, it's almost like the question, what was before, the chicken or the egg, right? Was the vision first, or was that feeling that triggered the vision? And a lot of times, people are fighting against which was first. But in truth, what's the first is almost that soul longing. And we have a very negative connotation with the aspect of longing, because we think longing is almost like the burning desire which you cannot live without, so therefore it must be attachment. I talk about the longing of your soul, which knows its true home, which knows even its own divine purpose. Before you incarnated, your soul has this divine blueprint, and it has this capacity for this essence to always be held within it. And that's again here in the home center of the now. In this now moment where you are, you're always going to feel that. It's this desire which never changes, the longing desire, the burning desire of your soul, is something that's non-changeable. How you get there, where you are in the now, which cycle of your life you're in now, that changes, that fluctuates. And your feelings might change from time to time. But that eternal nature is always just how it is. So everything begins with that soul longing. And we are working with the aspects of desire, because that desire comes from the core desire of our soul. Then we work with the aspect of uniqueness. Our soul has a unique frequency it works with. So anything we wish to create, it has to flow through that uniqueness. It cannot come by comparison with something outside of you, something you feel, I also want to do that, and you try to do it this way. It might work for others, and they want to manifest things that other people are manifesting, and it works to the degree that they're creating their reality. But those of you who are learning advanced mastery of your soul alchemy, you're going to see that will stop working for you. So when that stops working for you, it's not that anything's wrong with you. You've received a new template for yourself, and you're moving on in your journey, and this is how you're going to create now. And that's why I'm sharing this video, is to make it familiar and known to you. So it's not just here in the unfamiliar zone, right, in this too futuristic future. But the uniqueness of your soul is actually the only aspect you wish to work with anything you're creating. Then the passion, and then the art. The art here, I made it short because of the space I had, but the creativity, right? That creativity, again, is derived from your uniqueness. So the art, uniqueness, so that creativity, they're interlinked. So all of that is in a way always between the known and the unknown. In our human embodiment, we're always constantly fluctuating between the known and the unknown, the old and the new. It's not like we end something and then we have a clear new beginning. There's always, even when we begin something new, the aspect of the old is still coming along for a while until it feels, I've dissolved. Phew, a new bubble is created. It comes back, but it comes again as a new thing, in a new form, in a new way. You feel it like new, but actually that old being transformed and alchemized, returning. Because we're actually not recycling our energy, but we are always transforming it, because all that is of source is just that constant always is, but our expansion is working with that constant through transformation and soul alchemy, so that's always new, but you're always still in the middle point. So it's in a way, it's static within our eternal nature. So that is always between the unknown and the known and unknown. And we travel between the two. So what makes this then, by you anchoring the life force in the moment, what makes it become, and what this aspect I said down there represents the embodiment, right? So this comes from your higher soul. Oh, my pen isn't really working on this. But this comes from your soul, like your ethereal nature. And here, down here, this is your body, right? So you're human. This is the embodiment. So this body aspect now, in order to be in alignment with your vertical, horizontal, left, right, masculine, feminine, all these primary forces of creation and unity, in the now. Everything is always in the now. You have to bring your life force in the now. And that's why a lot of people who have it scattered different places and people and so many wishes and depositing these different particles, we can never fully bring it into what we really want in the now. I might have 3 wishes, but I'm thinking so much about each and every one of them, and I haven't found a way to unify them, so that I'm going to be scattered in my energy and I won't know how to draw forth. But which one, even if I have 3, which one is in the now? Which one is driving me the most? And this is what we need to learn. Because in the last year, towards the end of the last year, I had to choose between 2 things I wanted to create. And I was tuning into, one seemed very ideal. And I said, oh, wow, this would be great. But at the same point, it felt, when I tuned into the energy of it, it felt more aloof, like it's a little more away. Sometimes you feel like things and you're trying to reach for them and they feel they're there, but you're not like able to reach for them. It means it's there. It's just not in the now so much. So the energy of the mastery life force for that particular creation hasn't yet fully filtered into this now moment. So you just allow it. So feel what most closely feels now, what most really resonates in this now moment. And then try to feel every aspect behind it, how you wish to receive it, how you wish to create it, and completely trusting that. With that, you will get a feeling, when this is created, you'll get a feeling of completion, of integration, and of fulfillment. Recently, someone said to me, you know how you know it's the one? And this doesn't mean just the person, the one comes, the perfect life partner for you, but also something that for you represents the one as an event or a place you want to go to or something you really wish to create. And how you know it's the one thing for you in this moment. The one is always the one in the moment. It's the beloved essence in the moment that you are integrating. It's because it brings you a sense of fulfillment. It's that which you really want in this moment, although you might have many aspects to you, but this is what brings you fulfillment. So past, future, old, new, always between the two. Always here in the space of home. So these are the main aspects, and now I want to talk some more about this, how to bring this into the now, because we need to create the void for that. Anything that we perceive as our desire, something we wish to receive as an outcome, as an experience, it might just be a certain type of experience. And I've been learning how the energy travels, right? I've been wanting to have the experience of something, and then maybe a person comes and offers me that and I go for it, but it felt maybe too futuristic, and I detach myself from it because it's a hook into that newness, which sounds very beautiful, flashy, and shiny like gold, but it's not my golden opportunity in the now, for example. So I have to really tune into my own discernment to see, is that fitting into my space of the void for the now moment? Is that the essence I'm experiencing? Is it an over-promising energy, or is it something that links me too much with the past and something I've already been done with, and it just feels like stagnant? I'm old and chewed up, and it just doesn't find the space in my belonging where I am now. Because this now, although it's eternal, by your physical expression of it, your now also changes. Because the aspect of creation is always in flux, it's always in movement, it's always in constant expansion. And a lot of the people who only live in the polarization of their vertical self, and they're very spiritual and sometimes even dogmatic to the degree that they're very they separate things, right? And I've witnessed a lot of these people are very high in their ideals, but they will block things away. And we've all went through that stage, but with most of us who are moving into our mastery, it was just a stage. It was just a stepping stone, because we discovered this is not who we are as love. Love is always expanding. And I've seen that on every level, there will be a new sense of fulfillment. That fulfillment will be different. And a lot of people will say, you're already whole. You don't need anything because you're whole. But our wholeness is changing because we're always expanding. As human beings, we're evolving. Our soul is the driving life force that helps with that evolution of our human experience. So this means that because of that expansion, our wholeness will change. One moment you feel, I've wanted that, I've experienced it, but now I want something else. Is something wrong with me because I'm supposed to be spiritual and not have any desire? The desire is the longing of the soul. We just read it as desire, but it's actually the longing of the soul to have the experience. That's why we exist. Otherwise, there would be no such thing as existence, because it would be unnecessary. Because we wouldn't need it. Why are you here if you don't need to be here? Well, ask yourself this question. But it's really important for us to seed ourselves into this moment. If something feels like too far ahead, too much in the future, not for the now, the energy won't be so excited. You won't have that magnetism towards it. When something is almost so magnetic, it will happen like this. And this is how I created my new, well, old, but new car. Towards the beginning of this year, I just really felt now, I was waiting, allowing the waves. But when the energy came, before I didn't have a full feeling like now is the time, but when it came, it was like, oh, it was instant. Because just recently I've been talking to someone who still works with the old energy from how they manifest, and something wrong with that. For me, it's just their own experience and where they are in consciousness, and that is why it works for them. But it doesn't work for me. Because I've mentioned to them that I wanted something, but then I checked into the energy of it, but it didn't feel like I've refined the vision yet. And because I didn't fully refine it, because I don't desire it to the maximum, therefore my magnetism isn't strong enough to create it like this. It means maybe it's still coming, maybe it's pondering, but it's not in the now. And that person said to me, no, it always has to be, you have a wish, do it, just do it. You do it, but a lot of times we do it in our vision, and then it feels like, there's an aspect to it. But does my physical experience of my human self is okay with that, or am I still refining that desire? That's very important for us here in this scheme, right? That's why we need to have a feeling of fulfillment before we actually physically experience. And put yourself in this aspect and say, if I take this trip right now, from the vision that I have about it now, does it bring me a sense of fulfillment when I see myself in the space there? And if the answer is no, maybe I haven't refined my vision enough. So when we create this void for that essence, that void will be empty enough to recognize what's being presented to it. And if something is too futuristic, and something might seem very beautifully as sounding from someone, and they're promising, and you might need a buddy, and they say, I'm going to go somewhere with you, or I'm going to do this with you, it might sound very very beautiful, but they're always keeping you hanging, and they can never give you a final answer, or they're always like kind of keeping you hooked to that ideal, but something might never happen. So when you tune into that, your own discernment will tell you. And recently I've had this experience when someone kept telling me something and promising, but every time I began to laugh. I don't know, I couldn't take the person seriously. And they're like, why can't you take me seriously? And because I trust my life force and I trust the wisdom of that voice that couldn't take the person seriously, is because I connected to where they are in vibration. And it wasn't coming from the now, it was from the future. And I said, look, I can't relate to someone who's constantly in the future, because that will always be elusive. It's always something that's not fully reachable to you. I'm a master of creation in the now. If I want something so deeply, a longing that the magnetism is at its top, I will have to have this experience very soon, very now. It's just how it is. So we will recognize that, and we can't recognize it if we're always filled with something. If that void isn't that allowance, which just makes you feel things through that discernment, because a lot of people fill themselves with so many things that they can see that, so they can recognize when people are over promising, when they're being too far in the past or the future, and the art of co-creation really isn't taking place from the soul alchemy position. So that's why we cannot have enough discernment, and we need to void for that. So that experience will then transform in the new, and it will be transformed in the new now, and we will integrate it because we have really created it through mastery. So then we fill our now, that void, with all the life force, which will make us feel fulfillment. And as we have already, in a way, we've arrived there. That's what we feel. We're not waiting for something. We're not hoping, wishing, praying. It feels like more of a now desire. Some things might feel like a bit further ahead, but for the now. If it's not fulfilled in the now, it doesn't bring you fulfillment, then it's not the one for you at this time. Maybe it'll come later, you don't know. But you have to check in with all of your senses, not just for you, but also because we're all in unison, we're all co-creators, and we do kind of belong to group consciousness as well. We sometimes do have to tune in for others as well, see where they are, and we do that by tuning into our own wisdom, the inner voice. So in that space of arrival, it will become our own Garden of Eden. So when you create your own Garden of Eden, that lush garden of beauty, of what really are the essences of your primary soul, then all will come to it, especially the aspect of our divine feminine part of creation is the one that creates this garden, and the man is the seed, the divine masculine is the seed that enters and kind of plants all of that. So we will feel secure, safe, abundant, prosperous in that Garden of Eden. So then why are so many who cannot feel their life force. And they say, but what is the life force? We always speak about life force, Plona. What does it mean? How do I feel it? I don't know. Is why can they feel it guiding them is because they've had so many imprints from the outside world, because their energy is scattered. They have so many various belief systems, and they're actually hanging on, old and new. They're always in between. They're indecisive. Actually, a lot of people are hanging on to old aspects of unforgiveness, and their energy is constantly here in the old, so they cannot be in the now. Some people are constantly too much in the future expectation. They can't. There's always something. It's like a dog chasing its tail, right? They're always going to chase it. They're not going to say, wait a minute, I am my tail, right? So it's kind of like this. So this all leads us into not being in the now, and if we're not fully anchored in the now, we're not going to feel our life force so strongly. So how do we feel it? Well, I feel like the pulsations within my inner womb, and when it's really strong, I know it's a yes. It's where it's guiding me. And if I'm doing something and it starts to pulsate, I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Sometimes because of the merit of how our life force is always in flux as well, doesn't mean it's something wrong with us if for a while we're not feeling those pulsations. It just means maybe you're in integration mode now. But when it's that activation, when it's that inviting energy, you will feel it. So I'm going to read something from here, from the book that I've been writing, so I don't miss this out. And this is what I wrote. So whenever we project too much into the future or holding on to the past experience via attachment, we cannot fully feel our life force, and it will almost feel like it's withdrawn in the now. So we'll feel like you have no juice for life, or I call it the sacred sexual life force, is you'll feel like it's not pulsating. It's not like that beautiful, luscious, orgasmic feeling that it gives you. And that's how I feel when I'm at my top magnetism. It's the magnetism within you. So, and when the magnetism meets the electricity, it's the pulsation that's created. That's the third reverberation energy, and that's triangulation energy. The masculine, feminine creating the unison of the divine child, which is our creativity. So the womb, and I might say womb, but I know we're masculine and feminine, our human bodies, we all have that inner, right? That inner space, and it's almost like that root. Sometimes you can call it your root of your physicality, and it's also for the people who are male, right? But I call it the womb because everything in truth is the womb of creation. Everything is created from there. So these inner pulsations will withdraw when we're not anchored in the now. And whenever we have a human sensual experience, it's when we're tuning into all of our senses, we can be more in tune with our life force. So to be sensual means to be all senses in. So you're in the sensation, in the experience. And a lot of people who are only expressing the vertical aspect of their polarized experience became polarized, and they could no longer feel that. So their guidance becomes to be more mental or to upwards oriented, and the downwards aspect of creativity, some will even completely banish from their experience. So this then moves us deeply into the now, with all the senses tuned in. And this is where the law of attraction means to be attracted to whatever we're currently experiencing. Is when you feel immense attraction to the object of your energy exchange, of your tantric life force exchange. It's not just a person. Sometimes I'm drawn to a particular oracle. It just invites me. I just had to pull a card. It's just magnetism. So that attraction is the real law. Being attracted is the real law of attraction. It's that fusion it creates. And this means that wherever we're currently experiencing in the moment, without judging it, this is where we need to be. And it's always about this or something better, but we will feel it. So when something feels dull, like has no life force in it, and it's not eventful, or sometimes we say, oh, this is boring, or it's boring. It's not that something's wrong with us or we're demanding. It just shows us that we're experiencing that downward cycle of the life force, and how we tune into it, because it just means that there's something that maybe there needs to be something else where our energy needs to go, or maybe we're just embracing that sometimes things can be uneventful, and this is where we're in our integration mode. And I've spoken about this in many of my videos before. So this does not imply that something's wrong with us or that we are too demanding. This just means that it shows us where we are keeping our life force stagnant sometimes. So we perceive that as blockages, but they're not really blockages. They're just showing us where we keep our life force, or maybe because we're conscious co-creators, we can always move it. It's like move it to this direction, just with our focus. So it might feel like we're stuck or having blockages, but these are just all our soul's messages to keep us in the feeling mode. So they show us this maybe not working, you know, this is stagnant, go somewhere else, you know, find a new playground, plant new seeds. So feelings show us our potency. Going with the highest potential is what creator souls do. And this is always in the moment rather than keeping a mental or visual ideal of some sorts and some unexisting yet unrealized future potential, because our dreams are already created by living fully in the now. And every dream you have, it's in the now, even if it's just an essence of it. You feel it now. If you can't fully feel it, maybe it's just not something for you in the moment. Let that go. And that's why we say, you know, bring that into your aspect of awareness, but let it go. But that which is really truly magnetic, you will know. Once you master your life force, you will definitely know. So to add something here is that, you know, a lot of old healers were focusing on this unhealed aspect of us, or this is the wounded you, this is the wounded child, this is, you have these issues, you know, you have these distortions about you. And they were saying, well, humans cannot be perfect and it will be perfect, but we continuously were focusing on the aspect of us which is still imperfect, which is unholy, that's what it means. But in this new mastery self, what happens is our focus, our co-creative ability is so strong that as we place our focus to that which is our highest potential, all that which we perceive as non-healed, not whole, will just automatically shift. It will shift to the focus of the highest potential and will dissolve. So we don't need to just analyze all these old stuff anymore. It's just like, you know, I remember reading Eckhart Tolle at the beginning of my awakening. He said, you know, and even in coupledom, if we always focus on the old stuff, it's like, you know, digging through old dirt will just bring us more dirt. And all these issues, diseases, distortions, imbalances, all this is the focus potentializes. So it potentializes just more of that. And all of our healing is again in this new now, in this home frequency of our belonging self, our core self. So this can come by us fully focusing on the present reality. You always focus on the highest aspects of you. And when you're a true healer of the cosmic heart space, you see the highest potential in people. You don't idolize them, you don't put it on the pedestal. You still see the reality where they are currently at in their embodiment. But you love them through their potential. Of course, you also love where they are currently. But you are here to bring those potentials out of people, especially as a volunteer, as an Ascension pioneer. That's what you're doing. And these are our highest aspects that are always within the law of grace. So example would be, like I already gave you, like planning a trip, and you feel like you want to take a trip, or you want to try something you've never done before, you want to go on a holiday, whatever it is. But there's just something that feels it's not yet a refined vision. You know, and you might force yourself. And I've had, when I went to the mountains sometimes, I really wanted to climb this specific peak. And I did it through the ego. And when I went and when I came back home, the energy felt so empty. And of course, I did it. I was there. But it didn't have such a fulfilling day that I did, for example, even when I was just here around hanging in my beach in the mountains or being in my favorite nature spots, just being there doing my stuff. I could have such a fulfilling day. And that energy, when I did that, didn't feel like fulfillment to me. So I no longer do things just because I have a vision of something and I just do it without even refining that creation. That's what masters of creation do. And every single time, that sometimes it even makes us feel disappointment and more lack. And this teaches us, you know, teaches us things. And I remember last summer, I went on this boat ride here in this lake we have here with my mom. And we had like this expectation that we came there, we were at this middle island space. And we're thinking, why are we even here? We were all laughing. And we said, you know what, we're here because we needed that experience to show us that not everything might be for us just because we think we need to do it. So we'll be in this space, whatever. So a lot of this also has to do with us feeling the richness of love. Because love, again, if I wrote home here, I can either way write love in the middle space, in the brackets. And here I prepared something. I wrote this for myself, but also for all of us, is the expressions of being ready to witness all of that and all these essences through falling in love. And this means falling in love with life, with you, with yourself, because it is all about us creating this true love. We're not creating through ego, and because we want that manifestation to prove a point or to prove ourselves or prove how just we are, how telepathic we are, how spiritual we are. None of that. If it's not through love, it won't bring us that sense of the now completion, integration, and fulfillment. So in body, right, in physical experience, I wrote here 27 love statements, and I want to read them to you before the end of this video. So stay with me as we're going to read this. This is about me, you, all of us as one, and about falling in love so that all of our creations, everything we do, is going to come from that space. Are you ready? You can even do that out loud with me, or you want to watch the second time and do this yourself, or write your own statements down. Specifically, that's more more desired. And these are just one of the few of the 27 ones, because it's a very sacred number for me of divine love. So I wrote 27 of these love statements. Okay, here we go. I am ready to fall deeply in love. I am ready to fall passionately in love. I am ready to fall madly in love. I am ready to fall head over heels in love. I am ready to fall realistically in love. I am ready to fall unconditionally in love. I am ready to fall cosmically in love. I am ready to fall humanly in love. I am ready to fall sexually in love. I am ready to fall sensually in love. I am ready to fall animalistically in love. I am ready to fall truly in love. I am ready to fall compassionately in love. I am ready to fall adventurously in love. I am ready to fall spiritually in love. I am ready to fall naturally in love. I am ready to fall respectfully in love. I am ready to fall unexpectedly in love. I am ready to fall surprisingly in love. And I am ready to fall devotedly in love. I am ready to fall physically in love. I am ready to fall purposefully in love. I am ready to fall willingly in love. I am ready to fall abnormally in love. I am ready to fall weirdly in love. I am ready to fall dreamingly in love. And I am ready to fall infinitely, eternally in love. So, as you know, every ending is a new beginning. This is always old and new. And the reason why I wrote the statements is because to fall in love with all aspects of every creation aspect and essence of ourselves is what makes us go in a completely different way. I mean, we're creating on the level that is the level of creation itself, and this is what magnifies our experience. So now towards the end, I hope you like this part, I have some of the short announcements. So as you know, my work also includes to provide you with certain courses, and I've already mentioned my mastery courses, which are the 7 basic courses, and the last one, which is an additional one on the group consciousness and the enlightened partnership. So you can buy each course separately and together in one grouping as well. But I did the same thing with my other mastery level, which is because I have this human embodiment mastery with these mastery courses, and then I have the multidimensional mastery. And within the multidimensional package, I was developing these courses which kind of link us with the higher understanding of the cosmic wisdom and bringing it here on this planet, so that you don't just achieve human mastery but also cosmic mastery. And my multidimensional mastery has again 3 levels, which again you can get each one separately or also in one group. All of them together. So you have to know that each product is, when you kind of, you get the whole package, you always have a reduced energy exchange, So the first one is most available to everyone. It's for the minimum energy exchange, and this is the cosmic convergence of basically 5 video series. And then you have the galactic signature package course, which is around 3 hours long course that kind of centers around mastering your own zodiac and your own galactic signature and the understanding of your soul through all these imprints. So then the last aspect of this multidimensional mastery is the multidimensional ascension course, which is around 4 hours long. And again, it goes from the cosmic to earthly perspective of our ascension within the greater ascensions that are also taking place in our cosmos. So you can get this as one package now as well. And I also have light activations, and spirit messages are coming back, and I've just had more, because for a while I was in a shorter break with what I was doing and developing. But also there will be some newness coming up soon. So in April, I think, I'm still going to develop this towards the end of March. because the eclipse is bringing changes, and you have to know this is my work, this is what I do, and this is a 24/7 constant dedication work. And pondering, reflection, writing, sharing, recording, this is very this is advanced work, and we do work in our sleep as well. Those of us who are coming here to bring this mastery to all who are opening up to these levels. So besides offering these free videos that I have for donations, I will kind of slowly move towards having certain content that will be more advanced, only for subscription, which I don't yet fully know how, but it's coming probably from April on. So stay updated for that, because there was also people who inclined their interest, and they said, I would really, because your videos are so awesome, I would pay for them if you would make them available like this with the advanced content. And this is definitely what I'm doing. And you got a bit of the preview how much more in advanced levels I go now with the board, and getting this in the more cohesive content like seminars, these workshops. So still very relaxed state, because this is just how I am. And the last change will be because a lot of people were asking me if I do sessions, and I didn't do them for a while because I was focused on doing my courses, and I knew that for that while I will not be able to do the private sessions, and I always had to turn down the people because otherwise it'd be too time consuming and I couldn't finish what I needed to do at that level so that I could establish that work. And now this is changing. So again, in the beginning of April, check into for those changes, and especially those of you who are really asking me if you want to have these sessions. And these will be beloved sessions. They will be in a very specific way to guide people into the essence of integrating the essence of our beloved. And this is something that I've been mastering myself, so it's very easy and natural flow for me. And I would be very much happy and glad to assist beautiful souls like you on this journey of ascension. So stay updated, because this will be, once it's available, now it's just going out there in the ethers, but once it's available, I will update and notify all of you. So thank you as always for watching, for sharing, for subscribing to my channel. It's just so funny whenever I say that, I don't know why. Those of you who support through your donations, I'm really grateful, because for now this was very much important on my path, because I didn't do any paid content like this, and a lot of people have. And it's just something also that certain content is not for everyone. You can just open YouTube and it's too sacred, it's just for certain initiates that do want to participate in that. It's not even for everyone. Not everyone would even want to go there. So that's why it's important, and this will change in the near future. And that's it. That's all I wanted to share for today. I hope you had a blast in this video. Really assess yourself, assert yourself, see when you're coming from the creation of your love, or when you're coming from the ego and control, or even all those techniques and methods and I don't know, chants and prayers. And the highest prayer is the essence of who we are, and aligning. So it's all, this is all about alignment. When we're in that middle space, we're in our perfect alignment. And when you had that feeling of being aligned with your desire, it came like this, right? Because you were in alignment with it. And that's why it's so simple to work with soul alchemy. It's just that we didn't always have a way how to do it, and we kind of made it too complex, but in truth it's very simple. So what I want to do in my work is bring back the simplicity to mastery, and this is kind of like my specialty. So beautiful guys, thank you so much for staying tuned in, for sending me your feedback and all of that. I genuinely love and support all of you on your path. And as always, so much love, wisdom, and power, and I'll talk to you again soon in the next update. Until then, please take care, have a beautiful time, and enjoy what the fruits of our eclipse are bringing to all of us through that fulfillment, right? So take care. I love you all so much. Bye.
Welcome into